What is a sign of low intelligence? As someone who tests IQ as part of his job, I find an odd trend as strongly predictive of low to borderline IQ, being able to read fluently but then struggling to paraphrase what was read. Go through my post history and you'll get an idea. I'd argue that knowing or suspecting that you have a low intelligence implies you are smarter than you think. To know the limitations of oneself is a good indication of intelligence. Of course, it's likely this post was just a joke. I have a good friend who legit was diagnosed with low intelligence as a child. He appeared normal and acted mostly normal but was in classes with Down syndrome kids all the way through high school. He was aware enough to be embarrassed about being in those classes. I also have an aunt who was in a car accident while in her mother's womb. As a result of the accident, she was born with much lower than normal IQ. Firstly, their low IQs are not something they can control, so rather than judge and distance myself, I've tried to be a kind, genuine friend to both of them throughout our lives. A few observations about each of them: their personalities are polar opposites. My buddy is a redneck, loud-mouthed, Trump-loving dude who gets in fights, owns guns, and goes out of his way to antagonize people just for the fun of it. My aunt is extremely kind-hearted, remembers everyone's birthday, is tender, thoughtful and empathetic. Now on to the similarities. Not saying these are true for everyone with low IQ, but just observations I have noticed. They both come across as mostly normal, but there is something about them that makes many people uncomfortable. For example, when I was younger, my mom didn't want me to hang out with my buddy because she felt weird around him. They both talk a lot. I mean a lot. They both struggle keeping jobs for very long. They both struggle reading fluently. Even simple concepts are sometimes tough for them to grasp. For example, on one occasion my buddy tried his hand at college. He was taking one of those entry-level college math classes to assess what he learned in high school, and he was really stuck on the greater than or less than problems. His professors and I explained it to him over and over, but he just couldn't grasp the concept, and ultimately he dropped out a few weeks later. Another example is that my aunt had a job where they offered retirement. She couldn't understand the concept that part of her paycheck would be deducted to pay for insurance. Many people explained it to her, but she just never grasped the concept. Both my buddy and aunt get scammed easily. They both struggle with long-term relationships. They are extremely influenced by the opinions of their parents and struggle seeing other points of view. They both are lacking in hygiene and general personal grooming and dress habits. And they both talk of their overly ambitious plans for the future despite not being on a path that will lead to those plans. For example, me buddy legit thinks he will one day be the richest lawyer in the USA. Both are amazing people who I care about deeply. People with low IQs need strong support networks and good friends that can listen and be kind despite some of the negative aspects of their situation. People that think screaming at you and calling you things that are not so nice, thinking it will magically change your whole view. Can't stand it at all. Constantly talking about how smart you are. It's an insecurity. It's a pretty decent rule of thumb that if someone is going out of their way to call themselves some positive trait, they are not that thing. Not being able to entertain an opposing thought without losing your shit. If you ask someone to examine things under a different perspective and they start getting angry, you're talking with an idiot. If someone is unable to contribute to a conversation in a constructive manner in regards to opposing opinions, beliefs, they might as well have a giant blinking sign saying, "I'm an intolerant idiot," above their head. Getting sucked in MLMs. My friend has just been duped by another one. She's actually really smart, but she's naive about these kind of scams. The first one was skincare, and I gently explained over a few weeks what was going on and how the company works. Because she was being pressured to buy more, she took my word and got out. Now she's doing a travel agent thing. She asked me what I thought and I said, "Do you have to pay in order to earn?" "Yes," she said, "there's a sign-up fee." I told her it was a scam, but she's gone ahead with it anyway because it was another close friend who involved her. I have to be supportive, but I just want to shake her and I want to scream bloody murder at the other girl who involved her. Repeat the same mistakes and blame everything else but you. Not once or twice, but for years and years. Without improving 1 inch and still blaming others. Believing conspiracy theories for every little thing. Especially, believing in contradicting conspiracies, such as, believing COVID-19 is all just a hoax and nobody is actually dying, while simultaneously believing more people are dying from it than reported, and the government is covering it up. They think that questioning everything makes them smart. I agree it's healthy to investigate the facts. But ain't nobody spreading coronavirus through cell phone towers. A lot of the answers here are less low intelligence, and more people being assholes or people not learning or respecting social mores. Most of the upvoted stuff here is things you can find equally among IQ 80 people and IQ 130 people. Side note, this is not meant to legitimize IQ as a measure of overall intelligence. Because it's not great for that. I think it's important to differentiate between being unintelligent and being an idiot or an asshole. Mental capacity doesn't really map well to beneficial or maladaptive behavior. And that's a good thing. If it did, that'd mean some people were just born fated to be shitheads because they aren't smart enough to be good. But the truth is that even unintelligent people are eminently capable of being great people and possessing deep emotional intelligence. Unfortunately, that means that really smart people can and will also be super asinine or even evil if they fail to learn. Or if they learn and fail to apply it, or even apply it in a destructive manner. A lot of stopping this bad behavior, being unwilling to entertain other ideas. Falling for conspiracy theories, falling for sunk cost fallacies, getting sucked into tribalism, etc. isn't down to just being smarter, but rather to learning to combat these fallacies and tendencies on an individual level. They are largely vestigial tendencies common to all humans, left over from evolving in an environment that no longer exists for most of humanity. It's a learned skill, and because it's not a terribly complex thing, it's a skill low intelligence people can learn. However, because it is a learned skill and counter to our natural instincts, it's also something even smarter people can just never get around to learning. You can be the smartest guy on earth and not know how to do a thing, just because you never had occasion to learn. All that to say, something that's been on my mind a lot lately is how we equate intelligence with overall goodness. If someone is an anti-vaxxer, we say they're an idiot, or they're dumb, when what's probably more true, and really, what should be more embarrassing for them, is that they have an underdeveloped skill for discerning truth and recognizing expertise. People who won't wear masks are often called stupid too. But more often the truth is that they've either been fed a drastically different set of false information than us, and or they are willingly refusing to empathize and make a minor sacrifice for a major benefit to others. One half of that problem is an information availability problem, which may well have been constructed and perpetuated with or without their knowledge and assistance. And the other is a problem of lacking empathy. Neither of those is really an intelligence thing, though. So when you run into one of those people, it's much less useful and less devastating to call them stupid. Call them thoughtless. Call them reckless. Call them cold and selfish and unloving. Call them ignorant, if you must. If you don't want to call them deceived or indoctrinated. But don't call them stupid. Even if they are. That's not the reason they're acting that way. Don't give them that excuse. You can't really change someone's basic intelligence. And it's unreasonable to expect them to increase it. Their flaws are things that can be changed and fixed by learning simple skills or willingly engaging their sense of empathy. And that places the responsibility for being better where it belongs, on their shoulders. A lot of the answers on here are pure rubbish and more about personality and approach to life than actual intelligence. You can be a person with a low IQ and still be skeptical and curious about things. Just as you can be intelligent and closed-minded. An actual sign of low intelligence would be something like low processing speed, trouble with basic arithmetic, low reading comprehension, etc. Earth is flat supporters. I never understood this one because why? They're like, scientists are lying to you and making up a bunch of science stuff so you'll be dumb enough to believe the Earth is actually round. But like why? Why would they do that? Best I gathered as it usually becomes some secular versus religious thing where the whole scientific community of baby eaters is trying to destroy religion or something. You wear the mask below the nose. Or refuse to wear the mask. Or have one of those masks that's just a net that doesn't affect anything at all. Saw a video the other day of a couple out dining with masks that were cut along the midline so they would split open whenever they opened their mouths. They had a full meal with their masks on. I have no idea if they were trying to make a statement, just wearing the fake masks to blend in, or were earnestly trying to follow mask orders and missed the point. But I don't think anyone explained to them they're not expected to wear a mask while eating. Generally, a lack of self-awareness. Being loud inappropriately and not caring how they smell. Littering, polluting, and being inconsiderate of the impact they have on others and their environment. Ruining things for people. Trying to control everything and running things into the ground. Bullying. Physical conflict. Most of all an unwillingness to be inquisitive or accept data which conflicts with preconceived ideas. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. See you next time.